Good afternoon, everybody. The good might have got cut off there. It ain't like I'm going to go check before I post this. I'm Bart Winkler. Welcome into the Winklerverse. It's time for our first of 2025. It's just that doesn't need to be said, but for some reason it does. Remember, Winklerverse, the Happy Place hemp deal is good through this weekend. We're up to 36% off. We took every Green Bay win, that's 11, slapped it on the 25%, promo code BORT. You can still use BART for 25% off after this weekend right now if you want. But promo code BORT gets you 36% off every order at happyplacehemp.com. Again, the promo code is BORT, the tinctures, the gummies, the lip balms, the pet spray, so on and so forth. Also, if you are listening to the podcast audio form, it'll go right in. If you are watching our weekly video, I'm going to direct you to the audio after this because we're going to hashtag tack it on. I'm tacking on an interview I did with Wayne Larrivee, Packers Radio Network, on the Infinity Sports Network show. I had a nice chat with Wayne. I did ask him, my favorite question I asked him was, don't you as a broadcaster, like, has this worn you down seeing the playoff loss? Like, it wears the fans down. Does it wear you down? Are you like, oh God, here we go again? I also asked him what's more likely, Packers Super Bowl or Milwaukee Panthers Horizon League Championship.
Mm-hmm.
So I got his secondary job in there, and he agreed to go out for beers with me, and I agreed to pay, neither of which will ever occur. But it was pleasurable on the radio, and I thank Wayne for his time. I thank Grant Bills and Paul Immig for their time.
It's been too long since we've done this.
Yay.
Nice to see you both.
Well, I thought we were doing it last week. I set up my computer, and I sat here for an hour and a half, and nobody joined.
That's not true.
I was going to say, I don't think... I feel like a real a-hole.
No.
If that happened.
Is there anything to tell the folks, anything that's new in our lives over the last 2 weeks? I think
tell the folks at home what's new in our lives.
I mean, I've been here. You guys are, well, Grant, you've been rocking it on your show, I know.
Yeah.
Had a couple of great on locations.
Yeah, that was fun. Stressful. People just, you feel like a zoo animal. But it was fun. Yeah.
I'll say
Does your
this,
delivery change when you get a live audience? Does your delivery change?
Well, that's what's weird is it feels like it has to. It's like I'm not a stand-up you know what I mean? Like it's just a radio show. It's not for live in-person IRL consumption. But it was really fun. Nice crowds, and got to be home with my family for a full week. I think that's the longest I've ever been home since like the summer I came back after my freshman year of college. So that was kind of fun.
I drove through your hometown, but I forgot to take the picture each time.
Well, that's okay. There's 2 exits. I mean, you couldn't simply take up it's too much of an expanse to take in one picture. I mean, it's a metropolis. Should have went to UW Stout.
I should have. How dare I miss out? This was on my trip to the Twin Cities, which was a blur because it was so fast. I was there for such a short time.
Did you watch the third quarter of this game?
I saw the entire quarter. I saw the entire game. I did. I told you guys I went on a silent strike for 2 quarters.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Well, because they did the Vikings horn after no, not the horn. The horn they do after everything. But they did like Skull Vikings, we da da da, like they're banging on the drum all day after a field goal, and I got pissed and I was like yelling, and everyone looked at me. And I've been at some of these away games where I say something and then the other fans want to fight, and every Viking fan looked at me and like no one said a thing. Like, oh gosh darn that poor troubled boy. And my friends like, shut up. I go, okay. Didn't talk for 2 hours like a real pussy.
I don't know how many people know what the noise comes from, but at the Viking Stadium they go. Do you know what I'm talking about? That play that bass line 20 times a game. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's a low bass line. It's from a song.
There's a lot of noise in this building. There's a lot of production value to it. which is I think would be great if you were a Vikings fan. It took a little bit away from the product for me. We wanted to. My friends are debating where to sit, and I go, I want to sit as high as possible. I want to see the field, like an all 22 kind of frame.
Yeah,
That's what I want to see plays develop.
that's not my style.
Well, it wasn't either. It was the only way we could get in. We fucked up tickets bad. We could have got tickets $150 at the beginning of the season from Vikings.com, and my buddy and my buddies agreed. No, let's wait. The Vikings will be bad. I paid $400 to sit up top last row.
Oof. Hey, I won't play more than 3 seconds, but just tell me if this sounds familiar.
Is that it?
Yeah, what song is that?
It's Stained, Mud Shovel.
Mud Shovel.
They've been playing that at Vikings games forever.
But
it's too much. Like I really, it's a really good song from like 25 years ago. I'm like, can you stop playing Mud Shovel?
Well, we played Todd Rundgren, Paul.
I'm not saying it's not like I don't want to hear a song I like 25 times. You know what I mean? Like I want to hear it when I want to hear it. I almost would rather hear something I don't care about, like Todd Rundgren.
Even the like interstitials of songs that the Packers play are all like, "Stop the rock, can't stop the rock." That's like, okay.
I do like that songs get a second life in Green Bay as like it's a new hit, it's a new release.
I feel like it's still their first life in Green Bay, though. That's
what I mean. It's a song's second life because it gets a first life. Yeah,
sure.
It's pretty cool.
Well, good to see you guys. Packers lost that game. Packers lost against the Bears, which didn't sting as much as it should have because the game really didn't matter. The decision making at the end is bonkers, just flat out bonkers from Matt LaFleur.
I gotta get he and Gutekunst hot seat.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
And plenty of these things get addressed. When we hashtag tack it on with Wayne Larrivee, make sure you check that out. When we hashtag tack it on.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
By the way, I'm gonna add a couple national ones because I want to ask them, but we obviously will start local. Regardless of the Christian Watson injury, and no, the season's not over yet, but we're not going to break down Packers Eagles, right? That's for other shows. You guys can do that. We do the.
Oh, I'll break it down. We're going to lose.
I've heard you say that from a national perspective hashtag. So we'll stick with the bigger angles though. So regardless of the Christian Watson injury, but probably especially because of it, the Packers need to go out and get or draft a wide receiver 1. The Packers do not have a wide receiver 1. They need to go get one this offseason in some capacity. Or
Grant, you've probably been talking about that more than me.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Grant Bills.
I think they need to draft a guy with size and speed. I think they need their field stretcher. You know, a guy, Paul, how would I best describe this? A guy to a guy who could take the top off the defense.
I've heard
a guy like that. They need another one of those guys, but it doesn't have to necessarily be their wide receiver number 1. What they need is for, I don't care, Dobbs, Reed, Wicks to show up and to take a step and to play like a wide receiver 1 when necessary. Like I don't think the failure, everyone now is like accepting like, oh, maybe we do need a wide receiver 1. No. I don't think there's anything wrong with the roster construction. Reed and Dobbs and Wicks just didn't rise to the occasion when they needed to this year. I think that's been their issue.
But again, we did this back in August and then we reset it again in like mid-October. We took our guesses as to like the Packers will have a wide receiver 1. And then midway through the year, we said wide receiver 1 is, and I don't remember where we landed necessarily, but they don't have one. Like we all thought they would, and they don't. They do not have a WR1, right? We agree with that.
Yeah, but again, that's not the issue. I just need one of them to be able to have a wide receiver 1 performance when it's their week, and none of them have been able to.
I was saying, how many out of 17 games was there a wide receiver 1 performance? Less than a handful. I mean, I'm not looking at the stats, but like not a lot. Reed had 1 or 2 in the first month of the season. Dobbs had a couple.
None come to mind. No, nothing comes to mind where I'm like, oh, remember when Romeo Dobbs just ate for 160 yards that one week? Like nothing comes to mind.
Yeah. So I say not only did they not have one, they did not have a wide receiver 1, but yeah, they had very few wide receiver 1 performances individually. So not good. Bart.
Well, and you alluded to it, but the conversation that we're having and the discussion around it is the complete contradiction of what we were celebrating. We were celebrating this room. We were celebrating how we have all these guys that they can all contribute, that they can all step up at any time. And now one of them gets hurt. And so now we're thinking we don't have a wide receiver one. So this whole time was Christian Watson the wide receiver one without us saying it? Because if Jaden Reed goes down or Romeo Dobbs goes down, are we having wide receiver one conversations? I'm not sure that we are. I think deep down we all thought Watson was wide receiver one. That's how we're treating it. If any of these other guys goes down, it's like, oh, that sucks. But I don't know. It would still suck, but I don't know that the conversation shifted to wide receiver one. And I don't like where it's going. I don't think. I mean, obviously there's teams that have one. It's like, oh God, Jamar Chase would be balls to have on this team. You know, CeeDee Lamb and Jefferson and all these guys that are amazing would be incredible. Amon-Ra would be great to have on this team. I think there are other ways to build it. I think like the way we were getting at was do the Ravens have a wide receiver one?
Yeah.
I mean, Zay Flowers is their best receiver.
He's wide receiver one.
Is he a wide? Is he?
Yeah.
All right.
He's probably like the 14th best wide receiver one.
So one of these guys then could be that.
Maybe.
At least that's what we thought. And you see the Bills right now. I mean, I don't think that they have a wide receiver one, but Shakir's been stepping up when need be, and they get their offense from other areas. Josh Allen, a big part of that. The Chiefs for the longest time didn't have one. Now they have 3 of them from 5 years ago. But when they first got rid of Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce became the receiver one. I know he was a tight end. So maybe this recipe of Packers wide receiver still works, but it depends on an emergence of Tucker Kraft becoming like the main weapon. And I know that statistically and like eyeball tests, he ain't Travis Kelce, but when you watch these games, he's getting looks and targeted, and especially in gotta have it situations, Tucker Kraft's ending up with the football. So I think there's other ways to get production at wide receiver without saying we must draft 6'3", 210. And I feel like that's what we're going to get focused on.
I think I'd be asking this to circle back. I think I would be asking this regardless of the Christian Watson injury, but he was the highest drafted Packers wide receiver since Javon Walker or something, right? Like early second round for Watson. So we've talked about this going back a few months. He is the highest upside. If there was going to be a true wide receiver one from draft position wise, it should be Watson. But if he plays next season, he's playing in December. He's in the 4th year of a 4-year rookie contract. That he's like, you can re-sign him, sure, but it's not like, okay, I'm going to give you like 18 a year, 25 a year. Like that has passed. Maybe he comes in 2 years and he earns that in his 7th NFL season, but that window with his injury has now closed. Whereas had he had a great 3rd season, had Watson had a great year 3, which he did not, and he didn't get hurt, which he did. Now you're talking about a big extension this offseason where you can start to say, okay, well, how much is Watson, a healthy, having had a great 3rd season Watson, worth? He would probably be, like even with that, you'd still probably have some questions, but he is hurt, seriously hurt, and he didn't have that great 3rd year. So I think you have to say, okay, if Watson even is part of this team in 2027, after he comes back from his ACL, or 2026, after he comes back from his ACL, he's not going to come back as wide receiver one on the depth chart or on the unofficial anything. So my answer is, I think they do need that, especially because how many years can you get this Josh Jacobs out of Josh Jacobs? Maybe 1 or 2
Well,
years?
you're going to get it again in 2026 and 2028. He's good every other year.
So there you go. So next year is going to be a real challenge. Yeah. And then I'll add to this, and this is a name that I'm sure you'll talk about, and we talked about it last offseason, but I did copy and paste into my notepad Ken Ingalls and his asking about something related to our guy T. Higgins. Ken says Packers should absolutely be # in the mix. as Brian Gutekunst often is, but like you have a chance to not take a risk in the draft and say, "Oh, I hope this guy now magically can be the wide receiver 1." The Packers have cap space. This isn't like, "Oh, well, they don't have money." Like they do. Now, so do a lot of other teams. But if you think T is a number 1 on the, and maybe he's just a Zay Flowers type wide receiver 1 where he's the 12th best wide receiver 1. Yeah, he's not Jamar Chase. Obviously, he's on the same team as Chase and was the clear-cut number 2. But
T's better than Zay.
They're different.
I mean, they are different.
I'd rather have T.
I would too, but I think they're probably both right in that.
Stop with that.
What?
Why are you calling him T?
His name is T.
I know his name is T, but
what?
Mr. Higgins? What do you want?
The issue is not they are the biggest issue. The Packers went 11-6 this year.
What's the problem with T?
From a wins and losses perspective, they took a nice step. The most disappointing part of this Packers season for me is that Jaden Reed regressed a little bit. Dontavian Wicks didn't take a leap.
Yep.
Romeo Doubs was hurt. Christian Watson, I still like that room a lot, but I think maybe they're a year away. And if they want to add to that group, they can. I'd rather use extra draft capital or extra money trying to find the guy that Rashawn Gary's supposed to be to go on the D-line because I think they need that more. But
it's not like his name is Terrence and I'm calling him T.
I know. It's not the fact that you're calling him. His name is T. I don't know why you're referring to him as his first name. That's what I don't get.
Well, do you refer to LeBron as James?
Yeah.
Yeah, because those two are the same. That's the same thing, Paul.
T.
I'm just saying when you have an identifiable kind of unique first name, and your last name is just James or Higgins, it's more representative to say
Beyonce. No one calls him that. This is something that would piss you off. I don't know why you don't understand.
I was just about to say Jesus, but can I say that as a first name?
Mr. Christ.
Yeah, duh. Mr. Christ.
For what it's worth, T's name is Maurice.
Oh, but okay. Other free agents available. Stephon Diggs.
No, thank you. Hard pass.
Keenan Allen, fresh off his interception, throwing into trip coverage.
Nope. Pass.
Amari Cooper.
Pass.
This is it. It's a bucket of these guys that are 28 to 32 years old.
Yeah,
I think Godwin.
I think it's Grant's boy T or it's the draft. But I do. So again, because Watson is out, and when you're going into the season that the Packers are currently in, yes, they're in the playoffs. I know we're talking about the future, but that's what we do on the show. We don't do go listen to Grant Bill's Wisco Sports Show if you want the day of the day.
Marquise Valdes-Scantling.
What was the name? But you go from having this season where you're like, okay, well, Watson's in his 3rd year. Reed and Dobbs and Wicks are in their 2nd year. Once you get past that, and now you're going into the 4th year of Watson, who's injured, the 3rd year of Reed and Wicks and Dobbs, it's like it starts to happen really quick where it's decision time, right? And so you should know by the end of year 2 if a guy is going to become a bona fide wide receiver 1. You usually know.
Not always, though.
Not always, but like Adams took until year 3. It can to truly.
And that's the cheap example, so I wasn't going to use it, but you went ahead and used it.
I'll take it. But the point is, it does happen. But you usually know.
It happens more often for the Packers because they draft guys who don't know how to use their hands. So they need a couple years to figure out how to catch the ball. And then once they finally put that together, then they're awesome. That's the missing piece for all of these guys.
Yeah. But the traditionally speaking, the year 2 jump is when you find out if most players are going to be.
What if we put 20 pounds on Jeff Janis and made him the tight end?
I still think he's going to play corner.
What if the year 2 leap isn't as pronounced because you were ahead of schedule in year 1? Just an argument that you could make.
Wicks.
Like Jordan Love.
Yes. Or just the team as a whole. I think there's lots of different ways that you could make that argument.
Yeah. All right, I'll tie a bow on it and say I would give a good deal of money to T. Higgins to have him be wide receiver 1, especially in the absence of Christian Watson. I think that would be a huge changer. Because again, Josh Jacobs, if the Packers win games in the playoffs, it will be because Josh Jacobs was a beast. But yeah, running backs go quickly. So we should be very careful where it's how many years?
26.
But dude, Josh Jacobs, who's a beast, it happens quickly. You running backs get old really fast.
Derrick Henry fell off a cliff.
Okay, fine.
Sorry, I'm being a dick. Sorry.
Example.
Yeah. I know it's just
Whatever happened after the Giants let go of Saquon.
I'm glad.
You're going to hear from him ever again?
Chargers practice squad elite veteran Ezekiel Elliott might be the counterpoint to that.
Do you guys have any, like, percentage-wise optimism that they win this weekend?
Yes.
Percent? It's less than 50, but yeah, I have optimism.
I mean, I'm in the teens.
Oh, wow.
You're an owner, Bart. Come on.
I don't think the Eagles are good enough to be that fearful.
No, I think that they could beat the Eagles.
What was your percent last year against Dallas?
I don't know.
I can't imagine there were people out there who had a lower percentage. Bart and I loved last year's Cowboys team. But also, the thing is, I preached this for 2 months going into the playoffs, they're not going to be scared to go down and play in Dallas. That's where they go to, bat. How many times have they gone down there and sucked a game? You just sucked the soul right out of the Cowboys.
And I don't think they're scared to go to Philly either. No.
It's where Jordan Love threw his first career touchdown, right? Or did he throw one against it?
Did he throw one against the Chiefs?
I think I'm real scarred by that final sequence from Matt LaFleur. I think I'm really scarred by that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like I've said this about him. There's a decision that needs to be made. I think if he could freeze time, go back to his office, really try to figure out I think he'd come back with the right decision. And the guy pissed me off last night. He's like, he called and he goes, the Packers win in spite of LaFleur. You know how we always talk about better a coordinator than a coach. I go, LaFleur's past that.
Mm-hmm.
LaFleur's a good coach.
Yeah.
LaFleur's a good coach. But is he a great coach? And to do that, you're going to have to get to a Super Bowl probably. And he's had better teams than this, where he's also made bad decisions that got made fun of on Jeopardy.
This is what I pointed out earlier today. It's not like Matt LaFleur did not do the Dan Campbell thing where it's like you come in and your team stinks and you got to learn how to win. Right. And then you got to learn how to make the playoffs. And then you got to learn how to coach the playoffs. He was in the playoffs the first 3 years of his career. So for a coach who's been in the league, what is this, his 5th or 6th year? He has as much playoff experience as anyone could possibly have, save for a Super Bowl this many years into his career, right? So it's not like big moments, big games. It's not like the lights are too bright for him. And I think he's a really good coach too, but then I watch him handle that. Like, what are you doing against the Bears? Well, I didn't know. Or when he says, well, I didn't anticipate that. It's like, well,
it just seems like
part of the job.
It seems like he's never, or at least he doesn't feel like, I don't get the feeling from him that he feels like he's in control. I'll say, let me use this as an example. I do my show most every day. I feel in control. I feel like I know the beats, I know the rhythm, but not just about my own show, because I can take my show and, do it because I did Gelb's show on New Year's Day. But even though it's the same show in the same, I could do the same show in the same studio, something felt off to me where I felt like I was behind in breaks, where I was catching up on information because I didn't maybe have the full day like I'm used to preparing, or I thought things were changing in front of me that, at night, if there's something happening, I'm watching it. When things happen during the day, it's like, okay, now I have to refresh social media, and did I miss anything and what's going on? I just felt less in control. And I think that I get that feeling from LaFleur where maybe he is in control, but things get away from it. It just feels like he's playing catch up all the time, even if he's winning a football game. So then his decisions get a little fragmented. I don't know.
By the way, I did hear you host Gelb last week, Tuesday?
A week ago today.
And it was different. You were different. It was different.
I'll tell you why.
Tell us why.
Because I had 2 producers, and I didn't know which one of them was in my ear.
Okay.
So I never went to either of them because I didn't know who I was talking to.
Is this the first time you've declared this, or did you tell them this?
I told Carlos off the air.
All right, so we had a good transition here.
Also, it was New Year's Day, and I was using that, with all due to the network, I was using that as my ramp up back into the swing of things.
Yeah. This is a good transition, actually, then into the second question I had. I don't know the answer to this. I don't know. I don't think I know my answer. I'm curious what yours is. With the benefit of full hindsight, you know everything that you know January 8th, 2025. You know the way that Rodgers' career plays out. You know the way Jordan Love's career plays out. You know the way that Justin Jefferson's career plays out. With the benefit of full hindsight, you would go back and find a way to draft Justin Jefferson in that 2020 draft. Justin Jefferson was drafted in the same round in the same year as
You're
Love.
saying if you take Jefferson, if you can find, because he went before Love, right?
Correct. So you would have gone up, like what, 5 more picks or something?
You're saying, would you have tried to get Jefferson to pair him with Rodgers?
Yep.
Rather than gone on to Jordan Love.
And that would mean now your QB situation is question mark. Maybe it was still Rodgers because you didn't have a successor and you had 2 terrible years. 2023 and 2024 were terrible because Rodgers was hurt and old. And now you don't know who your quarterback is. But you had Justin Jefferson with 2020 Rodgers, 2021 Rodgers, 2022 Rodgers, which were, 2 or 3 of those were pretty good years for a quarterback. Very good years in one instance. Full benefit of hindsight. That means you don't have Love now. You still have Jefferson, but your QB situation is a huge mystery. Maybe you won a Super Bowl. Maybe you got further. We don't know. But knowing everything you know about Jefferson, Love, and Rodgers, full benefit of hindsight, you would go back in time, find a way to get up a handful more of picks, and draft Justin Jefferson instead. Or mm-mm. By the way, these are my favorite topics. They're so hypothetical. There's no right answer. Go for it.
Well, so the reason you would do this is you're thinking this could get you a Super Bowl.
Of course.
So where would we rather be? Would we rather be here with there's still too many people who are out on or not totally convinced on Jordan Love. But I believe we have a franchise quarterback. Okay. So would you rather be here with a franchise quarterback? And if it's part of your liking, see the utter failure of Rodgers in New York? Or would you rather be lost and have had a Super Bowl? Because if you have a Super Bowl with Rodgers and maybe he retires or whatever, then maybe you drafted, I don't know, Spencer Rattler. Maybe you got maybe Rodgers retired and you have Sam Darnold and he's here and he's having a season. So if we're assuming that we would have gotten a Super Bowl and then the future's unclear.
You certainly had a better chance at a Super Bowl in those 3 years with Jefferson than with Love. Obviously, one sat on the bench, the other ascended to be one of the best in the league.
My hesitation with this is that if we were going to get another Super Bowl with Rodgers, I wanted it to come in the middle of the teens.
Okay.
I didn't want a Super Bowl with this person.
Okay.
I don't like Rodgers.
What?
Yeah.
Where's the breaking news sound effect?
It's, everyone wants to think whatever. I don't know. I don't know that I could have. I mean, obviously I would have, but it wouldn't have been as. I don't know. I'm fine. I'm gonna stay where we are. I'm taking the blue pill. I'm staying where we are. I'll take Jordan Love. I won't learn from my mistakes.
Okay. Great.
Now, what would be my ultimate would be to fire McCarthy after 2014.
Sure.
Hire a new coach. Fail with him, rehire McCarthy in 19 and win multiple Super Bowls. Or I would just be like, "Oh my God. We've got Joe Callahan and Brett Hundley. Yeah, maybe I will give Kaepernick a call." That I would have done.
Sure.
Re-ask me the question, Paul.
With the benefit of full hindsight, you would go back and find a way. By the way, let me just preface and say Justin Jefferson went 22 overall, Love 26. So you would have had to get up another 4 spots from when the Packers were. But let's just take that for what it is. Benefit of full hindsight of knowing how Rodgers' career played out, Jefferson's career, and Love's career played out. You would go back, find a way to get up those 4 extra spots, draft Justin Jefferson instead of Love. Or mm-mm.
Because this is a matter of opinion. I don't think they would have won another Super Bowl. I don't think Justin Jefferson would have been the difference.
Interesting.
I don't think that team had it in them. And part of that is Rodgers. Part of it is LaFleur, young LaFleur. I just don't think they had it in them. So I would say no, because it might have been fun, but I don't think the team is in a better spot today because of it. And I don't think there's ultimately what matters. I don't think there's an extra Lombardi trophy in the case because of it. So no, I would take the quarterback.
Is there anything we could have done over the last 15 years? Like what's the biggest thing we could have done?
Not
drafting TJ Watt.
Not having Julius Pepper say no mas to Morgan Burnett.
Yeah. I mean, that was a criminal act.
Yep.
TJ Watt. But yeah, outside of in-game decisions, is it? I mean, really, it's drafting TJ Watt?
Probably. Have you ever watched him? He's pretty good.
Yeah, I watched him sit in the back room of Waukesha Sports Cards with his parents and not come out until a minute after the designated time, while Vince Beagle and Daria Gumbawale and Corey Clement were sitting there ready to talk to fans, and TJ Watt was already acting like he was star of the ball.
Well, TJ Watt's awesome. Daria Gumbawale could kick if need be. Corey Clement won a Super Bowl, and what did Vince Beagle do? Oh, that's the one we got. That's right. He's the one guy who's been drafted off the Badgers defensive front who's absolutely blown chunks.
Yeah.
What about hiring Jim Leonard as defensive coordinator?
That would have been interesting. Yes.
Nah. Mm-hmm. They can't find a star on defense to save their ass unless they pay him to play safety.
They finally found him because they signed him. But yeah.
What about drafting T. Higgins?
What about drafting Terry McLaurin instead of your boy at tight end?
I hate that Sternberger gets to have a brand off joking about that. I think that's fucked. And it bothers me. And anytime he jokes about it, like, certain sects of Packers Twitter is like, he has a great sense of humor. Like, no, I don't think he should. No, I don't think he should.
Can Bostic joke about his thing?
No. I think you should get to do anything about it, except for maybe write a book. Something shitty happens to you in life. Everyone should be able to write a book about it. Doesn't mean anyone has to buy it, but you should be allowed to write one. That's just my take, though.
So the benefit of full hindsight thing. So let me ask you this then. Jordan Love is currently, as it stands right now today, the blank best quarterback in the league.
Well, the athletic rankings every week, they have him 6, 7, 8.
Like overall?
With the way he's played.
Are you talking about Pro Football Focus or the Athletic as like a subjective person?
Their QB rankings, yeah.
Do you really think he's the 6th, 7th, or 8th best quarterback in the league?
No, I would think he is behind Josh Allen, Mahomes. I will currently put him behind Herbert.
Mm-hmm.
I will put him behind Lamar and Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
So is that 5?
5.
I'm going to say he's better than Stroud right now.
Yeah, Stroud. I have a question about that, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think Jalen Hurts is better than people think, so I'll put him there.
I think so too.
I'm not ready to put Daniels over him.
You might have to do that soon, but okay.
I think Dak Prescott is still above. Sorry. Like Goff and Darnold, these guys, he's top 10. Jordan Love's a top 10 quarterback.
You just named like 12 guys who you think are better than him, though.
Well, I wasn't sure about Goff or Darnold.
And that's without even really contemplating any of the rookies. Daniels, May, Penix, Nix, Caleb.
Yeah. Let me put it this way. I've seen Jordan Love play like a top 5 quarterback.
What about Baker? What about Bryce? Stafford.
I think that's his comp.
What about Purdy?
I think Stafford is his comp. Get white hot when you need to. Make some mistakes, you miss some throws, but the high-end play is so good you can win a Super Bowl with it. You just need to tap into it at the right time. I think that's Love's comp.
Grant, you don't need to name every quarterback, but just ballpark, where are you putting Love right now? Best quarterback blank. Ranked quarterback number what?
Probably around 10th to 12th.
But even what's the lowest he is? What's the lowest? 14th?
He's not worse than 15.
Also, if he comes out and lights it on fire against Philly on Sunday, people are claiming that he's top 5. You know what I mean?
And part of it too is this is kind of why I would advocate for a boatload of money to T. Higgins. I'm not saying again that T is a top 10 wide receiver in the league, but even if he's the 12th best receiver in the league, currently the Packers' best receiver is the league's 35th best receiver.
Sure.
You know, so my point is
35th, 36, which is how many percent you can get off at happyplacehemp.com right now with promo code BOARD.
But now you say that out loud, Paul. It's like, so we're paying the 12th best edge rusher. We're paying the 12th best receiver. We're playing the 12th best quarterback.
I get it. But if you have enough of those, first off, for me, the T thing also then kind of comes down to like, do I think this offseason I'm paying Christian Watson? No, obviously because of the injury. Next offseason, do I think I'm extending Dobbs or Reed or Wicks for mega? No, not. I hope they extend them. I hope they progress to get extended. But is it like mega money extension where I have to like set aside cap space from 2026 because I'm setting it aside for Dobbs or Wicks or Reed? I hope they progress enough to get extension, but I don't think you're like, okay, well, we better set aside 15% of the cap for Jaden Reed. I don't think that. So I think you get a T. Higgins to help prove where Love really is. And what happens if we actually have a caliber of receiver of Higgins? I call them Higgins just for you, Grant, rather than T.
Thank you.
All right. So I don't know. I'm going to stick with what you said. I'll very pencil in an agreement, of course, of do not go back with hindsight. But I think if Love is a top 10 from now until 2033, if he's always hovering around the 10th, then you did the right thing. But yeah.
Let me say this.
Yeah, go ahead. You got more.
Well, Grant was just talking about you have the 12th best this, the 12th best that, the 12th best this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, because with Jordan Love, like, you're paying, if you have a guy, there's a lot of good quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah.
So if you get one that's slightly behind, like the way that you did it, the guy you got, the guy you drafted, he's good, but he's still not as good as these other guys.
Then
what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're not going to pay him. You're gonna try to find a lottery ticket for somebody better, or you're probably gonna end up with someone worse. But what Grant was saying got me thinking, like, in the NBA, I think there's a team that has done a lot of things right. They've done the right moves, they've done the right things, but their guys still aren't as good as everybody else, and that's the Kings.
Yep.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Thunder.
Well, no, the Thunder are great.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I don't know if my audio came through 40 seconds ago and I said, then they're the Kings. But yeah.
The Kings, yeah. And also, regarding the Bucks, there's a new Ringer article. Like, the way people rush to shit on the Bucks.
Zach Cram.
Yeah, just let's see them. They're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to play a playoff series. If they lose it, then write the articles. We're all so fucking quick to shit on the Bucks.
We got to write something. There's a whole website's got to be populated.
Oh, yeah. Write about the Bart Winkler show.
The headline is stuck in neutral, and I do feel that I brought this up on I do our Rock Morning show on every Tuesday, and they're like, "What do you think of the Bucks?" I'm like, "Well, when their stars don't play, we complain that their stars never play, and when their stars play and they don't win, it's like, well, their stars are never playing together. How can we expect them to be good?" It's like, well, then when I don't know.
I do want to ask you about Chris Middleton to the bench, but I don't want to take the off ramp that you've just offered, because I want to ask you two quick NFL questions.
Yes.
Okay.
From a hashtag national perspective, Bryce Young will have a better career than CJ Stroud.
I was hoping you'd go here.
I'm just mad how wrong I was on that.
Which piece?
I thought Bryce Young was good, but I didn't like that they benched him. And then they benched him, and then he came back and was good almost because of it.
Turned out great. Shout out to that Andy Dalton car accident, I guess.
Seriously.
Only the Panthers.
Will he be better than CJ Stroud?
Better career.
I think you know how a DNA strand looks where it's like twisted?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's going to be the graph of these guys.
Okay. They're just going to keep weaving in front of each other. Everyone, yeah.
But they're both good.
Yeah. Both teams have their starter.
Bryce Young is, we all agree, like, this is the best quarterback in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second best not even quarterback, player.
Yeah.
And then they come out and go 0-5 on a team that sucks ass. And we're like, oh, this guy's fucking terrible.
And I knew it. I was telling you.
I told you. They should have taken a D tackle from Alabama.
Yeah.
They'd be 1-4 right now.
Instead of, yeah, right.
And Jacoby Brissett. be their quarterback or in that tier.
So Grant, Bart kind of opted out with his DNA thing, but better career, Bryce Young more than CJ Stroud, or mm-mm?
I think Bart's answer is really good. And I don't just want to pass and say I agree with Bart, but I think it'll come down to which coaches are surrounding them and who's building a better roster. And actually, I might trust Carolina a little bit more.
Whoa.
I think he's good. He's an offensive guy.
Okay.
I like their front office. Our boy Eric Eager's in there. You know, he's shaking the trees.
Eric Eager ain't going somewhere to fail.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And D'Amico Ryans, culture, loves that. Okay, but and it's the same with Dan Campbell. I think he's great at creating culture too, but if you don't have the men at the wheel on both sides of the ball to scheme it up and to call the plays, like you can only go so far. So I think if Bryce Young has his coach, Dave Canales, and that team can actually build around them, and they should be able to, like, I don't know. I think it'll come down to coaching and roster, and I think they'll probably go back and forth, like Bart said.
Last one for the NFL. If you are the NFL league office, you would say that the most attractive wild card weekend game is the Packers and Eagles.
Well, you've already said that.
Yeah.
Who's you? Me?
The NFL. They gave them the prime spot.
Which spot? You saying the 3:30 Sunday game?
3:30 Sunday is the most viewed game of the weekend.
It's America's game of the week.
That block gets more viewers than Sunday Night Football.
Even like, are you saying on a typical playoff weekend? Or are you saying during the regular season?
During the highest rated window of all of NFL is that block.
Sure, but is that true in the playoffs?
Yes.
Well, so they put that game there, yeah.
Okay, I thought I saw something from last year that the Sunday night game. Well, maybe it's matchup dependent. I don't know.
It's two massive brands with playoff history, logos, championship pedigree, outside under the lights and the elements. Oh yeah, Chargers Texans in a dome. That's going to look great on TV.
Which leads me to my question. Here's my question: is Chargers Texans more Buccaneers Commanders, or is Commanders Buccaneers more Chargers Texans? Does that make sense?
I mean, I get what you're saying.
Unfortunately, it does. Yes.
Which because I think Buccaneers Commanders is pretty Chargers Texans.
I know what you mean. Tough. Yeah, I get what you're saying. And the second most attractive matchup is Steelers Ravens.
Yuck. No, anything with the Steelers, I'm out on. I took the.
They threw that on Prime, dude.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm wondering. Like, is that because they wanted to give their new partners at Prime like a good matchup, or because they wanted to give them the shittiest, or not the shittiest?
It's Steelers Ravens. Every broadcast network has had this game 17 times in the last 18 years.
You're saying they didn't want it, like these other networks.
If there's a game to give up, it's like, all right, you can take your spin on this rivalry.
Huh.
Now, wild card upset most likely of the weekend. Who do you like?
The baller thing to say is Rams over Vikings.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's mine. That is mine.
I think fueled by Dan Campbell. I agree. Who told Kevin O'Connell?
I fuck it. When he said see you in 2 weeks, I go, this motherfucker, he knows what he's doing. He knows the Vikings are going to see him a third time and then beat him. So he's giving the Rams bullet, because I swear on Kevin O'Connell's face was like, you shithead. He didn't like that he said that. See you in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Campbell, that's his best move yet as Lions coach.
You know what I love is going into Vikings Lions, the prevailing thought, you might have disagreed, but I think the big picture thought, if you surveyed 100 or 1,000 people, was, I mean, the Lions, they can't stop anybody. Shit, Sam Darnold might be the MVP if he wins this weekend. And what's stopping this Vikings team from winning the Super Bowl? And then when they get the 1 seed, the Lions, they'll probably be out in the first round. And then the Lions knock the block off the Vikings, and it just flips completely. It's like, well, Sam Darnold's fucking awful. They're going to lose to the Rams, and no one's beating the Lions. Like, in one evening, it completely flipped on its head, which I guess is why the NFL is great. But I kind of bought into it both ways going in. I'm like, I think the Vikings, this might be the Vikings.
I might ride the Rams.
What?
Kind of buying into the Rams.
I don't think I am. Cooper Kupp looks washed, and it just, they're winning, and I love McVay, but
no one does a good McVay impression. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Actually, I lied. There was one more I wanted to ask you on the NFL.
Anything vis-a-vis coach openings?
No,
I'm not buying this Belichick shit for a second.
No, it got shot down already, I think.
Well, no. Well, hold on. Let's be clear. Diana Rossini shut it down, which means it's very viable as a possibility.
What is with the Diana Rossini slander?
He's wrong a lot. Is what the slander
Is she?
I don't trust Diana Rossini. I agree with Rogers on that one.
I mean, she has a lot of strikeouts looking on her.
She's not Bob Nightingale. What are you talking about?
I mean, she kind of is.
Okay. Sure. No, you're right. Belichick's coming back. But there was like an hour this afternoon where it's like Belichick's going to coach the Raiders. And now I feel like that's kind of dead.
The crazy thing is that it would be Tom Brady coaxing it back. Like, that's the oddest part is, that if that relationship, Brady and Belichick, was as done as it was reported to be.
Well, didn't you watch the roast? They were buddies.
The roast brought everyone together. Well, it brought Brady's ex together with someone new.
What's the best coach opening in your guys' mind's eye?
So let's go through them real quick. Bears, Raiders. Remind me all these. I didn't.
Jets, Saints is the worst.
Some of them are so bad they're not even worth remembering. So is it the Bears, the Patriots the Raiders, the Saints, the Jets? The Jets should hire Rex Ryan. I believe that.
I would want. Well.
I don't think any of them are good. That's why they're all open, guys.
I think that. Well, okay, but every once in a while, there's a job that like Chargers was great. Packers when it opened was great. I think the Patriots is the best job. I don't think it's close.
It's either Patriots, or it's Jets.
Patriots have a quarterback, and they have an owner that wants to win.
Yeah,
and even though he fucked up this whole thing, I don't think that he is gonna like get in the way. I mean, he let Belichick run things for the longest time. I don't trust Shad Khan he doesn't even know if he's going to fire his GM, depending on the coach.
That was interesting. Yep.
By the way, Paul, yes. AEW, WWE. AEW took advantage when WWE got shitty again because of Vince. They got to do something. This WrestleMania season, I'm worried about the E. I did not enjoy that first Raw. I think that was a very bad product.
I heard so much positive stuff about the E this week.
Because also, you're hearing it from people who don't watch the E.
Yeah.
If you actually care and watch.
They took 2 years of a storyline with The Rock being a bad guy.
So stupid.
And he came out and was putting over Cody Rhodes. And then Cody Rhodes was like, oh, shucks, gee.
Yeah.
I was not happy.
Nope. Bad. Yep.
So AEW, they need to get their shit together in the next 4 months.
Yeah. Well, I think as long as they just keep leaning into being like the wrestling company, like that's their niche, right? WWE is going to always be like the entertainment brand, and that's for some people, and that's fine. It's not for me.
I think AEW needs to go like wrestle in cool places too, like the ballroom they did.
The ballroom thing was so cool.
Like they need to go wrestle on a ship, like with Jericho's shit.
Yeah, that's
And just go wrestle at a county fair or something.
Cool venues are like WCW back in the day did their thing from Disney World, from Hollywood Magic. What do they call it? MGM Studios at the time. Do you know that?
I saw Billy Schmid once wrestle in front of Casablanca on Brady Street. They need to set up a ring there and do it.
Cool venues are a big deal. They really are. Okay. All right. You want to do anything else, or should we do Bucks a different time?
Oh, we can slip in a Bucks if you're okay with it.
I kind of want to ask about Chris Middleton to the bench, but I don't know how consequential it really is for like the closing lineup. So here's the one I'll ask you because it was in a group chat with buddies the other night. If John Horst works out a Jimmy Butler trade, it would have to include Connaughton, Portis, and Middleton. Let's say
Can we do 1-for-1s? I'm so confused.
So if Pat goes,
it's got to be a three-way.
Yeah, because Connaughton would have to go into cap space for another team. That would allow you to aggregate salaries, and then you could combine Portis with Middleton. So it's doable. It is doable. But let's just say John Horst has everything agreed to. It's all set. And it's essentially, it's Middleton out, it's Portis out, it's Connaughton out, it's Butler in. John Horst has it all worked out. He should first call Giannis and legitimately ask Giannis for Giannis's opinion.
Who's getting traded? Middleton?
Middleton, Portis, and
You
Connaughton.
can't trade Middleton without asking Giannis.
That's where I'm at too. The bond is too deep.
Also, the
But
only reason
Giannis would say no, right?
The only reason, and I do not want Jimmy Butler here at the age of, I think people forget, 35.
Or even 6. Yeah.
The only reason I would be tickled about a Jimmy Butler, Dame, Giannis big three is that it would be Heat culture in Milwaukee. Everything they've tried to do and put together for the last 5 years fucking would have happened in Milwaukee.
I didn't think
And
about
I
that.
I think that would just be splendid. We wouldn't win shit, but we probably won't anyway. I mean, we won the NBA Cup. But just that like jab at the Heat, like 10 years of Giannis wants. Yeah. How about we get all your targets right here?
Yeah. Grant, Horst has it all worked out. He should legitimately ask Giannis's opinion before doing it. Or mm-mm.
He should ask Giannis's opinion, or he should just do it.
No, he should ask Giannis's opinion.
Sure. Yeah.
So you want to clear. You want to clear it first.
Yeah. See what he says.
What if he says no? Definitely not. Don't do it because Giannis is very loyal.
Then
He will
don't do it because
Giannis
I don't really care whether they do it or not.
Wow.
I think Chris and Jimmy Butler are different versions of the same thing. Like neither one can stay healthy for long stretches. Both are totally capable of turning it on in the playoffs when they need to. Neither gives you a ton of defense. Both are old and expensive. So, okay. If Giannis wants to do it, sure. And if not, sure.
How about this then? The Bucks, as currently constituted, can win the finals. Or mm-mm. Not will, but can. I mean,
I think they can.
You do?
Mm-hmm. They have one of the best players in the league.
It puts you in the conversation. The benefit,
AJ
by
Green.
the way, I should say about this hypothetical Butler for Middleton, Portis, and Connaughton thing is you do shed a lot of money off of next year's cap because of Middleton's deal, because of Portis' deal, because of Connaughton's deal, and because Butler is expiring. So in theory, you can wipe a lot off the books for the 2025-2026 season. So there is like the future benefits that even if it were to fail and Butler walks or whatever else, you do have you're no longer like on the second apron stuff. Like you have cap advantages to doing it, even if this year's team with that wouldn't win at all.
Isn't his contract done in like a year or two? When's he off?
No,
the books?
this, I mean, he's essentially expiring.
All right. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's appealing.
It is.
One last complaint. Remember when Ben Johnson was like, I'm only interviewing for jobs I would want?
Took at least 3 interviews, didn't he?
Yeah, he's going to meet with the Raiders and Patriots Friday, Bears and Jaguars on Saturday. I feel like society needs to come back a few steps on Ben Johnson.
No, wrong.
I think we need to trace it back.
Nope.
He should stay in Detroit, continue to enjoy Dan Campbell's shield, not go somewhere where he's going to suck ass.
Good. It depends on what he wants.
I've heard your take, Bart, that as a Packers owner, the coach you least want to end up with the Bears is McCarthy.
Yeah.
I want to think you're joking. That's a terrible take.
No, it's not.
It is.
How?
Because McCarthy is like
a grown-up.
A great coach. Good with quarterbacks.
Zero bust potential. Not going to put Packers Bears over. Hey, Mike, you used to play for the Packers. What do you think? Is that rivalry pretty big? Is that you really want to beat them, huh? Look, if we beat the Packers on our schedule, we beat the Packers. I'm here to win one thing, and that's the Super Bowl. I'm not going to focus on one game, one rivalry. It's a great rivalry. I've been a part of it, but I'm going to focus on the Super Bowl. Unlike every answer that's ever been given by anyone in my position, I am a bigger picture guy. I am a champion. You don't win championships just by winning divisions. I know that. You don't win championships just by beating the Bears or beating the Packers. You win championships by going all the way, and I think we have what it takes to do that.
All I'll say is, yes, McCarthy raises their floor. But McCarthy could go there for 4 years, raise the floor, and then he'd have to leave, though, for someone else to come in and ascend them further.
Why?
I disagree.
He's won a Super Bowl. This is what's so funny with me about
years ago.
When people talk about Matt LaFleur, it's like, you can't win the big one. You know who has won the big one? Tomlin, who people want to get rid of. John Harbaugh, Ravens fans are like, when's this guy going to win again? Mike McCarthy, who no one respects. Like,
I was just starting my Packers beat career the last time Mike McCarthy has been to a Super Bowl. It was a long time ago. You were in sixth grade.
It does really start with me. They're not wrong.
I'm just saying, like, it's a
shit. Even when you're out of it, you never truly are.
Were you in 6th grade when Mike McCarthy was last in a Super Bowl, Grant?
7th grade.
Thank you. It's been a long time.
It was a great year.
I want to hear more about why.
I don't know. McCarthy, I don't know that people would be psyched about McCarthy, but there's no bust potential there.
There's no bust potential, but I mean, so if you're the Bears and you're basically just saying, can you please just raise our floor a little bit? Is that really what you're settling for?
Yeah, it's what the Bucks did with Budenholzer. They won a championship.
I don't know if I agree that okay.
I don't know. It felt like their ceiling before that, and I remember listening to Bucks post games with Radio Joe was just like, just get the 8 seed and get some experience. Just get in there so you know what the playoffs feel like. Like, that was what we were dying for.
So are you really anointing? Are you saying McCarthy is a QB guru? Is that, I mean, are we really giving?
No, but I'm saying
I'm not saying he's a QB guru, but I think I'd trust him with Caleb Williams.
He's a known quantity in a way that Ben Johnson is not.
Yeah,
in a way that Brian Flores is not, and I like Brian Flores, but
and Ben Johnson's going to be like, oh geez, this is my big shot here. I got to do good. McCarthy's just going to be like, man, I've been bounced around all these places. I just had to deal with Jerry Jones. I just want to coach.
Did you guys see Jerry Jones are either of you watching The Landman, by the way?
I saw the clip of him acting. I have not.
I don't know what that is.
Unbelievable. I've watched it 10 times. I can't. How is it so good?
What is it?
He did a cameo of himself in Taylor Sheridan's new show.
Who is that?
He's the guy who made Yellowstone, and he's visiting. John Hamm and Billy Bob Thornton, I think, are like these two super rich oil men, and John Hamm's in like a hotel bed, and Jerry Jones comes in and like lectures him like, this is how I've lived my life, built my fortune, and it's with my kids, and he's like on the verge of it's unbelievable acting. Like, it's real. I'll have to send it to you.
Yeah.
Well, you know that I'm more of a broadcast TV guy, which, by the way, today, Wednesday, January 8th. Hold on.
Sorry.
There's a big debut coming up in just a few hours where our boy Tim Allen is back in Switching Gears. That's tonight. Before an all-new Abbott Elementary with a It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia crossover.
We're watching that.
Big night on broadcast TV.
Big Abbott Elementary household we are.
Oh, very good. We just finally caught up. Very good.
Are you shitting on me? By saying I've been behind?
Sound like I'm shitting on up. No, we just finally caught up on Abbott. We finished it. We're up to it.
I thought you were saying, "Oh, you guys finally caught up to something that everyone's been watching." I'm like, I don't know. Like, are we?
No, we've been watching it and have finally caught up on the rest of the season.
Oh, okay.
But now there's a show I want to watch this crossover tonight, but I can't.
Calling sick.
Well, when am I going to watch it? I can't watch it before work. I can't watch it after work. I got to watch it with my wife. Or when am I going to watch it without her tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I'm trying to cram through the first season of Severance.
Again,
it's being called generational.
It's so fucking good.
It's ridiculous.
Even rewatching the first episode, I'm like, oh my fucking God, this is so goddamn good. It's so fucking good.
Remember this season, like this new season of Severance, like they had to pause it for like a year because of like,
100% reviews, 40 critics, 100%.
That's a really almost impossible thing to follow up on. And even with like the internal strife that the show had, apparently they've achieved it. What are they doing that week by week, or are they dumping them all
week by week through March?
Through March. All right. Well, we're just gonna wait then. I don't like to do I don't like the episodic thing.
You would have never cut it in the broadcast TV era. I don't even know how.
I did. I mean, clearly I grew up with the same stuff you did, but now I'm a binge guy.
Boys, thank you for your time.
You as well.
If you are on the YouTube, head on over to the audio we're going to hashtag tack on Wayne Larrivee. If you're on the audio, I'm going to insert some commercials and it will play right after these words.